Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing well. We are here with a timeless reading. Okay, we're starting off with the Lovers and Queen of Wands. I'm seeing Ace of Cups. Okay, with Lovers and with Ace of Cups, this immediately feels like the beginning of a chapter that you can have. This can be sort of a refresher. It can feel like a new chapter. Whatever it is, whether this is an ongoing partnership or this is the potential of a new partnership, it will feel refreshing in some way. When we have an ace, it speaks about potential. And because it's a cup, it's going to be about the potential to connect, to sort of build something. As far as we feel, there can be something being built emotionally. It can be a chance for intimacy and to build upon that. It can be a new chapter. If this is an ongoing relationship for you, this can be something like feeling like you're coming back together, or having time that you get to reconnect now, or having opportunities to reconnect, where there can be a building and a strengthening there. And for some of you too, because it's the Ace of Cups, this can also be a new relationship as well, or a new opportunity, one that you didn't have before. I am seeing Temperance, so there can be a waiting that's connected with this, or not rushing it that can be connected with this. Some of you can even be waiting for maybe for this to maybe for something to work out and feel like it's made right. Kind of like something needs to develop. The Ace of Cups needs to develop in a certain way in order to be presentable. There can be something about like waiting for that chapter to sort of show up, because something has to be developed in order to be ready for that to happen. That's the feeling that I'm getting with this. This can be like waiting to make a gesture. This can be, if you're Temperance, this can be going through a period where maybe you're figuring something out about the Ace of Cups, where you may want to make that offer, but maybe you're going to wait because something needs to be done still. And having the Lovers and having the Lovers and having the Queen of Wands there, this can be on the receiving end. Queen of Wands can be the one that's on the receiving end, and this being offered. Whichever energy is Temperance, though, I get this feeling of waiting. It feels like waiting until the time is right, but I don't think that it's actually about the timing. I think it's about what's going on within this situation and waiting until this becomes viable. So in a way, timing can be part of it, but I actually don't think that it technically is the timing. I think it's more like when the situation is right, it will be time then to do that. This can also mean too that if the Ace of Cups has now presented itself to you, meaning it feels like there's a sense of renewal within a connection, or there is a new connection that's coming through, to take your time and move through this and see what it is, because aces are just potential. We don't know what's going to happen, and it can be something that burns out, or it can be something that's dismissed, or it can be something that we do end up going through that door. It's just sort of a mystery when it's an ace. You know that the pure raw potential is there, but we don't know what's going to happen with that. And so Temperance may also be being okay with that. I want to see what this tells me or how this unfolds before I start making assumptions or saying this should go here, that should go over there. You can know that this is something that's coming up, or that things can even go in that direction. For those of you that the Ace of Cups hasn't been offered yet, but you may have a situation with somebody, it can be very much going in that direction. That can be the expectation. It just may not be that time yet, but it can be building towards that time. There can be some other stuff that has to come to an end as well. You know, for example, we can say like, maybe the person that's going to come through and offer the Ace of Cups to you, maybe they're working on another project. And so they have to finish up with that in order to be able to present you with the Ace of Cups. It can be that type of thing that happens here. Just an example of how it can work. Something about being patient for this feels like the most challenging part. I'm seeing 9 of Wands come out next to Temperance, so I'd say the most challenging part is going to be to allow for the divine timing to unfold here. I wonder for some of you with this Queen of Wands and with the Lovers, if this is like an already standing relationship that you have, you're just waiting for this chapter, but it can be something where like you know that you want it, and I also feel like it's getting very close to presenting itself, but it's not time yet, and you need to not rush this. Because some of you may feel the anticipation of this and maybe want to try to speed something up, but it's not meant to be. Because I was seeing Death card on the bottom of the deck when Temperance came out, and this can be that you need to wait for something to close up or like a chapter to finish up. You may need to wait for something to end fully, or for a transition to fully shift over in order for this to happen, and you need to wait. That is the advice for this. You need to be patient. But that can be the thing that feels challenging about this, because too, when we think about the Ace of Cups, it's nice thinking about intimacy, thinking about connection, like being able to feel something and to build off of that. So there can be like an excitement about that and sort of wanting to hurry this up. At the same time, I'm seeing the advice be not to do that, to let it unfold, to allow. And also too, we have Queen of Wands here. So this is that part of us that can be like, come on, I don't want to be kept waiting. I'm seeing though that we have Queen of Swords here, and this is like needing to drop into some logic and needing to drop into some perspective and recognize where there may be a part of you that's not always thinking clearly when it comes to your perspective of this. No, it feels just more like that shadow side that doesn't want to allow things to fold or unfold organically. So you being in this logical, rational, grounded, seeing things clearly, not being clouded, being in solely an emotional space and not thinking things through and seeing things clearly. So the challenging part is to embody temperance within this situation, and to also embody the energy of the Queen of Swords, which is going to have you using your discernment, looking around. The Queen of Swords, I think if any of the queens are going to be waiting to take action until all the facts are there and all the things are understood and we've let things fall into place, it's going to be the Queen of Swords. This is somebody that is not going to take action too quickly, and that is not going to be rushed by emotions. This is somebody that thinks very logically, that's going to be thinking in a very practical way, that's going to be really reading the room here, and that is most necessary here within this situation. It can be difficult though. This can feel very challenging to do. However, this feels like not needing to allow your shadow energy to come up, which can be our ignorance within a situation. Feels especially like ignorance in the form of wanting to rush something because we want it now, rather than recognizing when we sit more deeply within ourselves that that is something that may spoil an opportunity. And so there's a really deep necessary need here to allow this process to unfold organically. And to maybe even figure out what that looks like for you. Like, what are things unfolding organically? What does that look like? Like, what does that mean for you and how you move through that, versus like, when are you not doing that? When are you not honoring that? When am I rushing? When am I like losing my patience? When am I wanting what I want now and I'm not like co-creating here? So that can be something else that's coming up. And this can be too, not letting fears and anxieties get in the way. Like, this can be, well, I want to have it happen now, so I know that it's definitely going to be happening, you know? So being motivated by your anxiety then, and then what's that going to do? Is that in essence that you want to inject into this situation? And being, as I imagine for most of you, there's another person involved in this, you know that things will also affect them. I feel like you need to not be thrown off by what's going on. Maybe someone's like not as open as you want them to be. We're going to clarify this Five of Swords. Okay. This can be you working with yourself when you don't feel open, and when you may feel like your heart is closing off a bit. Even like annoyance that you can feel. And it doesn't just have to be something you experience with yourself. This can be like, why aren't they doing things like this? Or why isn't that happening? This can be a part of you that you're working with. Another thing that this can be is interacting with somebody that may not be fully in an open space and not being reactive to this. Sort of recognizing this for what it is and working with that. And this can be something that gets brought up within partnerships. It's the stuff that kind of keeps you separated rather than working on the same page. I feel in a way like this is having lovers above Five of Swords feels to me like moving through quarrels, moving through conflict, moving through times when you and this person may not be on the same page with one another, and finding your way back to love, finding your way back to connection. When we have Five of Swords in a partnership, it can be things like anger, it can be resentment, it can be misunderstandings, it can be annoyance that we feel. Whatever it is, it's not going to feel nice to experience, yet it shows somewhere where, again, you're not totally on the same page with this person, and it's going to feel like something uncomfortable is going on within the dynamic with the two of you, because you're going to feel like we're not on the same side right now. That will be the experience. So even though the Ace of Cups is here, which shows that things really have the potential to come back between you and this person, it feels like the most difficult thing to do is work with yourself when your heart is not open. And the thoughts and feelings you're experiencing are connected with that, are sort of coming from that. I feel like this is more so in little ways than it is in really big ways. But those things can also add up as well. I'm seeing Gemini and I'm seeing Sagittarius. I was also hearing Libra. Interesting. If I had to create an example that's connected with what I'm seeing, this kind of feels like you and somebody that you have a relationship with, something dynamic between you and this person. You guys not being on the same page right now, can even be having a fight right now about something, really feel like in a place of disagreement with this person. What I'm seeing is that later down the line, I'm seeing the Ace of Cups be there. So I'm actually seeing things are going to come back together with you and this person. It may not feel like that now, though. I kind of get the feeling that it doesn't, and this is something that you're working through. So it can be like, I'm really annoyed with them right now, or like, I don't want to have anything to do with them right now, or they've really been making me angry. It's going to be something like that you're working through, or like, we really just don't understand each other. We're really on different pages with one another. Like, how could they think like that? Or why don't they understand? It's going to be these sorts of things. They're like, why aren't they doing things like this? Or why do they expect me to do things like that? These types of trains of thought that will be connected with this. And there can be sometimes issues with communication, articulation, and you can also feel like this doesn't fully come from a loving space. You can recognize that within yourself. You can maybe recognize that within this other person. You can feel like y'all are not totally open to one another. That will be the feeling. For some of you too, I'm seeing two feminine energies here, but gender has nothing to do with this at all. Just putting that out there. When we have two feminine energies too, there can be an expectation like, you come to me or you do that. But that can be both people being in that space. Like, I want you to be the one to initiate this or to initiate that, or like read my mind and then do this. Or like, I want you to do something so I can reflect on that and think about it. But both of you guys can be in that energy, and there can be even a lack of masculine energy here too. That's something that I feel like is showing up within this. So both of you guys can even be in a space where it's like, well, I'm expecting them to do that. And then it feels like, you know, this can be like both of you guys wanting an apology, but you want the other person to apologize first. It's one of those times where you guys are in similar energies to one another. And so there's that lack of sort of magnetism because of that. And it can feel kind of like both of you guys are the same type of magnet. And so you're sort of pushing each other away. I'm seeing that things are going to come back together. Well, actually, let me edit that. Let me reframe this. There is potential for things to actually come back together and be great and be fantastic between you guys. What I'm seeing is that if you do not work through the Five of Swords, that's not going to happen. But there is potential for things to actually be quite harmonious and quite like actually fantastic between you and this person. Things can be steady, things can feel stable, things can feel harmonious. It can feel like you guys are working together again on the same page. Like, life can feel the way that it's supposed to feel, and you can have that with this person. The issue is the Five of Swords. This is something that needs to be worked out. So this is something like, maybe you're going to do counseling between the two of you, or maybe you guys are going to open up and say how you've really been feeling, maybe in ways that haven't fully been expressed before. But the reason this can be difficult is because Five of Swords is not generally a receptive energy. This is one where it's like, I don't feel understood by you, and so why would I want to hear what you have to say or how you feel when you don't understand me? But both of you guys can feel that way. And so there can be like a lack of openness between the two of you, a lack of receptivity, which is ironic because we have feminine energies here which are meant to be receptive. I'm seeing that things can be fine between you guys. There is the potential for that here. And it looks very much like if you're willing to work through the Five of Swords, things are going to be fine between you and this person. If you're willing to work through the conflict, if you're willing to open your heart, if you're willing to listen, if you're willing to drop the defenses, if you're willing to come outside of your ego, things can work out between you and this person. It's going to take both of you guys to do this. And this can even be a time where maybe it just takes like one person to show up in an energy with an open heart. And then that can be the beginning of a chain reaction here. It's not going to be immediate, but I'm seeing things will can go in that direction of things being more than okay again, like actually functioning desirably. And this is the challenge, to work through this if it's worth it to you, which I'm also seeing you work through things before. This is nothing that you're not capable of. It's nothing that you can't handle. It's just, are you willing to do that? There can also be a part of you that feels set off sometimes and then you close down because of it, and then we're not really getting anywhere. And this can also too be a little bit of a battle of the wills, which I feel like when I see that, like when we have fire and we have air here, we have Queen of Wands and we have Queen of Swords. Even though these are the queens and they're meant to show a receptivity and a feminine energy, both of these are actually masculine energies. And I wonder too if this is more so like there being some type of friction, like I want things to be my way, like this is the right way of things being, and then another energy that's kind of feeling that same way, and then there being a clashing because of that. Like these energies can be somewhat particular at times and may not always be the most flexible, which feels like it comes to a place of this being ironic again, because we have Gemini and we have Sagittarius here, and both of these signs are mutable. And what that means is that they're meant to be malleable, flexible, and able to transition, change, and adapt. So why they're showing up here is because this is what's needed within the communication, within the willingness. And that's how the Ace of Cups can come back together and things can feel like new again. Things can feel like all of this stuff is resolved, then it's dissolved, and then things go back to being fantastic. And having that Four of Wands there really does show you have deep compatibility with this person. Like you can have a true, authentic sense of harmony between you and this person. You guys do work together and you work well together. And that's something that can be stabilized and remain harmonious. It's about working through these difficult chapters, like what's going on now, to get to that. And then that sense of relief, joy, contentment, and safety you feel when you get to that point. And that's what's being worked through currently. Coming back to Temperance and Nine of Wands, I think one of the most challenging parts of this is to be down to go through this process, even though it can take effort and it can take time to do. Because if you're in a space where you're like, immediately, if this doesn't work immediately, or I try to do one nice thing and then they're not receptive to it, I'm just going to throw my hands up and give up. That's not going to work here within this situation. You're going to have to be down for the process. Is that worth it to you? Having that Queen of Wands and having Five of Wands here, this is something where you and or the other person can be in an energy where it's like, I need to feel respected, I need to feel like this, I need to feel like that. And also having Queen of Swords here too, there can be like a little bit of a righteous energy as well, where it's like, you're the one that did something, you apologize to me, you know, like these types of things. So it can be too finding the line between, where am I so sort of stuck in my ways of thinking that this is not allowing for us to be at peace with one another, versus where am I allowing myself to be walked all over and I'm not advocating for myself. So there can be trying to find this balance between standing in your power, standing in your strength and your authenticity, while not going overboard into a place that's about sort of enforcing your own will on another person and like bossing them around and telling them how to do things. And like also seeing too, like where are we leaving room for other perspectives and other people's emotions and feelings and their hurt as well, and our own hurt as well. Because that Five of Swords comes from a place of, I've been hurt. I feel like you haven't listened to me about what I've been upset about. And now I have, in my head, you're not safe. It's not safe for me to be vulnerable anymore. And that's where this comes from. That's why the lack of receptivity is there. So there's going to need to be an addressing of those things. And I'm seeing that you'll be able to reach actually a fantastic place with you and this person that is stable and sustainable, if only this is willing to be addressed and worked through. But if you are willing to, I'm seeing that's what will happen, that things really will work out between you and this person, okay? So it's not a lack of compatibility or anything like that. It's about needing to work on this stuff with them. Because what I'm seeing right now is a bunch of like separation, like pushing away walls, and it feels like needing to come back together. And listening being a very important part. And this can be a time too where you're recognizing where something is done or said, you start feeling triggered and you start shutting down because of that. This is something that can help you understand more about that part of yourself, sort of the way that you respond when you're feeling threatened. When you're feeling like you're not being heard, when you're feeling misunderstood. And I have a sneaking suspicion that both of you guys actually feel this way, and that's why we are where we are within this. All right, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everyone for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sending everybody love, and I hope to catch you guys next time.